Peace, Ephraim here, man. We got a nice vibe by the water, looking beautiful. And today, I want to talk to you guys, stemming from the conversation last week. We talked about rejection for redirection. This week, I want to talk about radical self-acceptance, because I feel like that's where we arrive at. And for me, this is something I've had to deal with like immensely all throughout my life. Just finding ways to deeper get into self, right? Deeper accept myself. Even as I'm like, what I like. I'm like, I got my hoodie on, man. Same clothes as yesterday. I was out working all night. I actually came to this park at like 2 a.m. or something like that, because I'm like, you know what? I just wanna be by the water, right? I just want to get my vibe right. And I find it's something that helps me calm, right? It helps me be more at peace when I'm by the water. I can feel the open air. It's just soothing, man. And I know that's important for me to accept what it is that helps me be at my best, right? So I was saying all that to say, yeah, I was just over here and I got my scarf on because, it's Mother's Day. My mom, she gave me the scarf, My mama gifted me this lovely black scarf. And all the things that help me, right? All the things that help me be at my best and stay in a great place. That's what I'm focusing more on. Let's just put it that way. And so when it comes to radical self-acceptance, I feel like I've had to accept, everything I do won't be perfect, because I'm not a perfect person, right? These videos won't be perfect. I won't always have the best idea and you guys are seeing this in real time. Like, it's literally Sunday. I'm like, nah, I want to get this out. And not even just I want to get this out, but I feel at peace with the process, And I'm just like, I want to make sure I show up. That's the main thing, right? As long as I show up and I'm being me, I'm being authentic, that's what's important. And as much as I could prepare and I could think about, what can I learn next? What can I learn more? It's like me being who I am is the value. That actually is the product. So when I think about this in real time, it just kind of, I don't know, it blows my mind. But I think the reality is that along the way, just like how we were talking about rejection last week, along the way, when I've accepted myself more and say I'm not as responsive, even just recently, I've had some conversations and somebody reached out to me today, and it's just what's going on? What are you doing? And I'm just first of all, I don't even entertain that type of conversation. People just approaching me like that. But it's just funny because it made me think of, especially being here in Buffalo, we have this culture of entitlement, right? And people want things when they want it on their time. And I'm just in a place where I'm I do not care, bro. I do not care. I'm prioritizing me, my work, what I need to get done. And I don't need to explain myself. I really don't need to explain myself much at all. However, I was thinking okay, I said I'm going to reach out to this person. I'm going to get back to them today. So I'm going to be accountable, right? And I'm actually wearing my accountability shirt too. If y'all don't know, I have a song called Accountability. And I made a shirt based off the cover art. Psalms 82:6. Go look that up if you want to know more. But yeah, I just find it funny because I am, being accountable. Always, I'm looking for ways how can I show up? How can I be better to other people? But it couldn't start for me to really grow even further and grow even more, if you follow me, until I really begin to accept where I was at first and who I am and also what I need. And so maybe that's why like this conversation, it gets a little bit deeper for me than others, because it's so true. Like this has been so vital in my life of like, man, you know, sometimes you care too much about what other people think. And by not accepting, you know, where I'm at and what I need first, that's the first rejection, like the first ever sense of rejection that we can ever feel. Because I truly believe like we only feel such a deep rejection from other people because we know we've rejected ourselves on some level. And then we're looking for ways that other people can fill the void. You know, they can step in the gap. And kind of like we said last week, like, oh, you know, I would like for you to give me something that I'm not giving myself. And in reality, like that's not healthy. You know, that's not it. It's not ideal. It's not efficient, because how are you gonna go looking or searching for somebody every time you feel like you have a personal problem? You know, it doesn't work very well. And I say for myself, because I've been through that, right? I've gone through those phases. I've just learned how to get so much deeper in tune with like, oh, you know what? Let me just rely on myself. And it's funny because I say that like I have been relying and trusting. Well, I say this primarily God, like for sure. You know, I trust the process and what God has for me. But in that, also within that, like in that sense, I've been relinquishing and letting go of a lot. So it's been a place of surrender, right? For instance, for me to be like self-acceptance, right? I know I don't have everything figured out right now. I know I'm in the process, you know, moving to Chicago, right? Now like expanding my options. I'm like, let me look at some other apartments, because, you know, I talked to the guy. I'm like, okay, I have this much money. Or they were like, can you have 2 full months of rent? And I'm like, okay, sure. Because my credit isn't the most ideal right now. And that's something that is crazy. Like, I mean, I guess not crazy, but a lot of homeowners do rely on that. And it's just interesting to me. It's like, wow, you know, we live in the society where the system for, I guess, how you manage money or how you, like, I don't know, do business is a measurement of whether or not you can find a place to live. And to me, that is kind of crazy. I don't know. But like, I get it. Like, people want their money, but you know, some people just don't have any knowledge of credit. Some people have never built their credit score up to begin with. So to be like, oh, you got to have somebody to co-sign for you. It's like, it's wild. But, you know, lo and behold, for me, I'm like, okay, this is where I'm at. I might not be able to do that. I might not have this score right now. But what can I do? And in the process, it just looks like, all right, let me continue to be open. Let me continue to do more research, right? I'm on ChatGPT, I'm on AI. Let me look for what I can and start where I can. But that being said, I know even when I was talking to my mom today and just like saying a message to her, like, you know, yeah, just sharing how I feel and why I'm so grateful for her. Ooh, man, it's deep, bro. Because for me, like, I recognize my relationship with my mom has been tumultuous in some ways. And again, it's like, I don't want it to ever be misconceived or misconstrued of like, I love my mom. I'm super grateful for her. And I'm so appreciative. Because it's that type of thing when, you know, being raised by a single mother, like, she willingly sacrifices and goes out of her way for so much just to provide for me. And I've always just felt grateful. I never wanted to like feel entitled to anything. But I do realize there's a certain dynamic that comes with it. There's a lot of things that, you know, I've come to terms with and accepted, right? Just like I've grown and learned throughout my life. Like my mother, she's had to grow throughout her life. And I think it's this thing, like when you're a kid, you don't really realize like, oh, okay, like this person isn't a superhero. They're not, she's not superwoman, even if she might make herself appear as such. She can't do everything. And she's a human, like she has emotions, she has feelings too, right? But the funny thing about it is just that as much as, well, yeah, I did grow, like obviously I'm saying this from the standpoint of like being a kid. You kind of realize that maybe 14, 15, and even getting into college in my early adulthood, it's like I wasn't able to really accept a lot of things about that, being like how my mother grew up, what her experiences were like, until once again I really began to accept myself. But it's just funny, in the process I feel like it's kind of like vice versa. They both feed off of each other. Like the more that I accepted her, the more that I could accept where I was at in my life. And like even just with my relationships, like like romantic relationships, relationships with women, just how I communicate, all these things are based upon what I was taught, right? And it's not just my mother, but I'm just saying in general, I had to realize like this was all a program. And but damn, we getting deep today, even by the water. You feel me? Cause even like my father being deceased, I was just talking to my siblings. We're in this like group chat. I have siblings who have different parents than I do. I have like 5 siblings on my dad's side. And we're just talking, and even one of them, he was like, "Oh, who is this?" I was like, "Oh, damn, that's crazy, bro. Like, you don't even know who I am, huh?" And he's like, "Nah," like he's playing along with it. But it's just crazy because last time we talked, he said he's gonna call me. He's like, my bad, like a man like has to keep his word and everything. So he's like, I got you. I'm gonna hit you back. And he was telling me he's gonna tap in with the music and everything. So I'm saying that because even within that, like there's a lot of traumas and a lot of things that we've held on to. Not even, well, I want to say more so, as far as I know, not as much with me, because when we say like amongst each other, but really even for them, because they're older siblings, like they're closer together. I know they had their infighting and everything growing up, but it's something I think about, like basically with our siblings, right? When our dad passed, I was like less than 2 years old, but for them, they were like 13, 14, 15, which is a really tough time to lose a father. So I just think about like, then, they had these experiences, but suddenly it was gone like when they were a kid. And that completely shaped how they view just life. Dealing with grief is something that's like, it's tough. And it's a very immense, strong feeling. Like it's a tough experience to go through. But so for me, I also came to acceptance with the fact that I never really had a relationship with my father. And that's, the person who brought me into the first person primarily who brought me into this world, like him and my mom, and then I think about the fact that with my mom, like she actually had to watch him pass from colon cancer. And even with my grandma, it's funny because my grandma, she talks about my dad too. She talks about all these memories of him. And so it's just like, wow, man. Like I can only imagine for my family as a whole who talks about it, if that's a brother or son or whatever. But even for my mom, like, what is it like to marry somebody like the person you love and then just watch them die? Quite literally. And maybe, that's not the best word. Maybe not die, but still though, you're like watching them lose their life, right? You're watching them no longer be here. All the energy and everything of who they once were, is not necessarily the same. So especially when you love that person, that's the type of thing I empathize with. Like, I can only imagine how that feels. And so for me, I feel like with a large part of the radical self-acceptance, I just had to come to terms with, like, you know what? Okay, these are things that have been trigger points for me, right? Like, I view the world a certain way because, I was raised in a single parent household, right? I was raised without my father being present because he's deceased. And I know that's not an experience that everyone can relate to, right? And man, God bless you. Like, if you come from a 2-parent household, that's a beautiful thing. Or even if your parents are like divorced, I know that's tough for people too. But just the fact that when I've known other people, like, I've been in relationships, or I've had friends that I was closer to, and they're like, yeah, their parents are fighting or whatever, or this is going on. I'm like, man, at least you got both of your parents. Yo, my bad, y'all. It's so funny where that video left off. I'm like, dang, that's crazy. Yeah, at least you got the 2 parents, man. It's a fact though, because yeah, wow. I was just saying something too, but mainly about when it comes to my father, like, being deceased. It's tough because obviously that's my parent, but it's like I also had to develop as a young man, a young black man, primarily on my own in that aspect of, like, I've had to come to an understanding and develop what masculinity looks like for myself. I didn't necessarily have a bunch of instruction in that department, and even with my primary example being my uncle, he passed last year as well. So just dealing with that, like, processing that grief is, some days it's like, it can be sad. It can be saddening because I'm like, I know I wanted to actually talk to my uncle more before he passed. Like, I literally was thinking about him like almost every week. I was like, yo, I should reach out. Just because I know what was going on in his life. Like, he felt the pressures of being a male patriarch in the family. Like, he's like one of the only, well, not one of the only sons of my grandmother, but that's like primarily able-bodied, and he would just do a lot of things, but it'd be like a lot of infighting and stuff that my family would get into. And so he just felt like, dang, like, I can't do what I'm supposed to do for my mother. Like, I can't be the man I'm supposed to be for my family to the full capacity that he wanted. I feel like that's what it is. And it's probably just coming down simply to not having it financially, right? Not having an ideal job and the status that you could say, or that his family could say, like, oh, look, I'm proud of, Lee Bostic. And that's unfortunate because so many times as men, it's like we measure our worth and our value and how much we have monetarily or how much we can provide, like, physically. And that's just not it. You feel me? We have so much more value in the masculine and just being present as a man and making people feel safe and seen, and even as much as it's definitely, Mother's Day today, and I'm grateful for my mother, super grateful. At the same time, it just also has me thinking about with fathers, like, they play such an important role, and I realize how much that's shaping me into the man that I want to continue to be. Because I know when I have kids, I want to make sure that I'm able to be there. I'm able to support them in their growth and in their development in the ways that they need, And I think that's just the thing of, like, coming from a single parent, single mother household. It's like there's no reason why mothers should have to take on all this weight and this responsibility for themselves that they're just not meant to. they're just not meant to. And so unfortunately for me, whatever reason, it's like it did have to do more with my father's health. So like, my parents, they definitely loved each other, they cared about each other deeply, but sometimes also when we're not taking care of ourselves holistically, right, that comes with repercussions, consequences. So just another layer of like, I feel like I've long talked about this, but just throughout life, like why I put such an emphasis on my health, my well-being. Even my mom, when I was younger, don't get me wrong, like I was in sports, she had me active, and she'd be like, oh, you can't eat this certain way. Like when I was starting to pick up weight during football, she was like, nah, you got to cut down on this, on not even just the red meat, but processed meats, and have more lean stuff like turkey, chicken. Like that was back then. So yeah, man, there's things that I think about now in my life that I'm just grateful for, and I accept that this has been my journey and I've learned a lot from it. And as much as like everybody might not be able to meet me where I'm at and reciprocate that, and that's perfectly fine, but as long as I've been able to deeper process, and I've been able to be like, what makes me me, and I've been able to accept the fact that this is what I come from, even my family, like it's not everything isn't perfect, it's not meant to be, it's not perfect, it's not always the prettiest explanation to everything, but to me that in itself is beautiful, right? Because I just get to know that I come from a real rooted, a real grounded foundation, very community oriented on both sides. Even my grandmother and all the community work she's done with her non-for-profit for more than 40 years. And just how every holiday she's just helping people. And I just think about now, like, what? These are the things that make me who I am. And even if people sometimes might want to try and take advantage of it, some people might take it for granted, that doesn't mean that I should stop being who I am because of that. That means that what I get to do now is evaluate my choices, my relationships, and even my relationship with self. And this is why, like, I'm out here. This is what I was saying. Like, I just spend so much more time with myself that I'm just grateful. I'm just grateful, and I'm just so much more at peace, to where it's like I'm not looking to fill the voids and emptiness with people. I'm not in a rush. People weren't exactly in a rush to get to me when I was looking for that comfort, when I was dealing with a lot of the grieving process. Even though there was people who did show up for me, and I think specifically about those people, and I'm grateful. But I just realized that everyone has their own life, everyone has their own story that they have to go through. And now it's just my job, my responsibility to go through mine. So that might look like, look, this is all I got the capacity for today. I'm making this video, and I'm saying happy Mother's Day to my mom, call all my aunts, or at least maybe I might send text messages if I can't do a call today. That is what it is, but it's like we can only meet people as deep as we met ourselves. So yeah, I was up all night. Like, I'm working like every night, just saving up. And then I'm like, what? I need to get my vibe right. I spent like all night, not all night, but after I was here at the park, I'm like, I'm about to go and I'm about to watch these anime rom-coms, because that's my vibe. You feel me? Like, I just love it. And I just be happy watching anime, because I'm like, they're like, it's so real, especially the new animes. I'm like, it's so real. And like, I don't know, I just feel like the way they depict even romance or like just relationships is like really genuine. And that's, I'm like, dang, man, I'm looking forward to going to Japan and just appreciating the culture, because it's about respect. But also just with animation, I'm just like, I just love the visuals of everything. something like that. The music too, I'm like, oh my gosh, I was over here, I was listening to one of my favorite anime music albums. There's this anime called Makaku City Actors. I don't know if that's how you say it, but yo, like there's a song called Days or Kagura Days. There's like a couple versions. Yo, check that out, man. I'm telling you, the music is on point, and that's one thing I love about Japanese music, Japanese like anime related music and themes too, with the bands. Like they're just crazy. So it's just so much, oh my gosh, so much stuff that I love. And see, look, this is why I'm nerding out now at the end of the video, but this is about to be the end. But the point is that I just accept, like, this is who I am, you know, this is what I love, and it inspires me, it makes me happy. So rather than chasing like the void and like what other people want, trying to appease, I'm like, I'd rather just be in my bliss, like with what makes me happy, and not actually like how do I say, like magnifies but also magnetizes the right people that are meant to actually be there and show up in my life. And yeah, it could just be alignment, like maybe, you know, we'll all go to Japan together, whoever wants to come with me. But either way, that's all I have for you guys this week, man. That's all I have. I just really wanted to come out here and tell you a little bit about my journey with radical self-acceptance and how I just take all these things, all these experiences into consideration, and I'm just grateful for it, you know. And I expect the more that you do that and you focus less on other people, because even now, I didn't even mention it throughout the video, like actively, it's so funny, I actually have a relationship, somebody that I really care about them, and I really do feel and like know that they care about me too. And at the very least they have. But even with part of our conversation, there's an element of rejection, because they told me, they're like, you know, I have to like kind of think more about this relationship. And I'm like, okay, like I feel it. And it was partly because of, yeah, I'll say in large part because of my choice, because I actually stopped communicating with people. And that's what I was gonna say. Maybe they're kind of like with the anime part, being like otakido. That's what I call myself sometimes now, otakido. If you know, in Japan, there's people who are otakus, and they just like, they're kind of like neats. That's another word, but like shut in. They don't go outside. They just watch anime. They kind of distance themselves from society. Last year, I feel like that's something that I started to do more. Like I would be working, I would get some money and then maybe go to the gym, but I'm just like, I just stopped talking to everybody, because I knew like that's what my soul was telling me I needed right now. Like I can't even process all these emotions and feelings with people. And when I felt a lot of sense of betrayal, like I felt like a lot of people betrayed my trust, and where it was like rejection. But I just realized I was going through so much, and them doing that was actually a blessing. Like I'll say a blessing in disguise, because that's what it seems like in the moment. We don't realize like, wow, this person giving me space is because maybe they actually see something's off, and they might not be able to say it. But I don't know, even if that wasn't their intention, that's what it comes down to. And it's just like, wow, like, you know, thank you, God, man, because I appreciate the fact that I wasn't trying to be jaded, but like at the same time, I definitely got there. But like me just taking that space and that distance from everyone and being like, you know, I don't even want to be around people, it definitely got me way deeper into my mental health, like of how my mind works and what I'm thinking, what I'm programming myself with, but my emotional health, my spiritual health, my physical well-being, every aspect of my life. That's crazy to say, but it's true. Every aspect of my life started becoming better. And even the things that I was avoiding, like when I was saying for the first time in my life, when I was really dealing with the other side of leaving a job and like choosing to prioritize my relationship with my family and me grieving over like just working, which I guess is definitely more of a new age thing, huh? Like feel like for my generation, right, being a Gen Zer, it's like, nah, I'm not about to work this job or like overwork, stress myself out just because for money. And I'm grateful for that choice because it helped me and it developed my character for real. So like, even though there's an element of, dang, this seems very unresponsible, and it has put somewhat of a, I don't want to say a burden, but it did make it harder, especially on like my mom and my family, for the choices that I was making as the son. Like, oh, I'm the engineer, like I'm supposed to help my family. But it was like, nah, I have to help me first. I'm gonna still help my family, but I'm just grateful, man, because where I was at, like, it wasn't the best, but it got better. And I was meant to go through that, so now I can share that with y'all, can share it with the world, and yeah, so much more. Continue to learn and grow from my story. So this has been my time this week, man. Radical self-acceptance. We went a little deeper in that one, but I wanted to because that's really the point. That's really the point of accepting, this is who I am. I'm gonna share more with you guys, and you can either accept it, be open, you can reject it, and that's fine too. And then you'll probably find something better. You'll find something better that's suited for you. But the same goes for me as well. So thank you. Y'all want to tap in with the music with Ito Langston, economicalunit.ver.se. You could do that. I'm doing my rapper cadence. Y'all, man, wait till y'all see me on the mic. I'm gonna put some footage in there one day. But that's it, man. I appreciate y'all. Thank you for listening. It's been radical self-acceptance from Ephraim. I'm out. Peace.